fantastic guest, in the studio. Candidate for the Public Service Commission, Place 2. We have Laura Chancey Lane in the studio. Hey, Laura.
Hi. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Of course, you're more than welcome. And so, let's ask the basic question I ask a lot of candidates. Why do this to yourself? Why run for PSC?
I strongly believe that there should never be just one candidate on the ballot, because that's really like you're just crowning someone. So people should always have a choice. They should always have a choice. And it's well worth it, the fight you have to go through to get on the ballot and everything. So that's why I'm here.
And
so
you are
have a choice.
Alabama Libertarian Party's candidate for PSC Place 2.
Yes.
And so there isn't a Democrat in this race, is there?
No, there's not. It's quite funny. There's not one for the other seat that's open also.
Yeah, and so competition, I think, is a great thing. I actually saw a write-up in the Montgomery Advertiser today talking about the Libertarians' Lieutenant Governor nominee going up against Will Ainsworth. And so I appreciate your throwing your hat into the ring. How did you become involved in the Libertarian Party, and why run as a Libertarian?
Well, actually, I became involved in the early 90s. At that time, I was living in Long Beach, California. Just so you know, I am a native Alabamian. I was born here, grew up in Baldwin and Mobile counties and stuff. So, but I was out in Long Beach, California, and I wasn't really into politics at the time. I wasn't paying much attention, really. But this lady came and knocked on my door, she and another gentleman, and invited me to one of their county meetings. And I decided, well, let's go and see what it's about. I've never heard of libertarians. So as I read about their platform and met more people, I said, this is it. I don't really fit with the Republicans, and I don't fit with the Democrats or any of the other parties. So I think this is my home. This is my political home. And I've just been involved ever since then.
And again, folks, we're talking to Laura Chancey Lane. She will be on the ballot this November the 8th as the Libertarian Party of Alabama's candidate for PSC Place 2. And so when you look at the PSC and what they oversee, what would you say are sort of the top three things that you would like to do? What's your main focus if you are elected to the PSC?
Well, their main focus, the one that I hear the most from people, it has to do with their electricity rates, their power rates. I'm sure most people have noticed that their rates went up recently.
Yep.
And it seems that the commission just kind of blesses whatever Alabama Power throws in front of them.
Notice that.
Yes, and I don't think that's right. You know, this commission has not had a public hearing in over 40 years, which I find pretty strange.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange. The other thing that I want to focus on is renewable energy. That's a big push now, and it should have been for quite some time. Our Alabama Power here in the state actually puts what a lot of people refer to as the solar tax on their bill, which I find kind of strange. It's a fee that they charge the person, the individual, for using solar energy. Now, I haven't found anything in our state code that says that there's people have to be connected to the grid whenever they have this. So that's left to the counties and the cities and stuff to implement that sort of thing. Well, if you look around through the industry, you'll see that solar power, usually what happens is there are incentives given by the companies for people to switch to this, and then they get a discount on their rates because when they're hooked to the grid, they're feeding power back into the grid. But here in Alabama, people are actually penalized for that. And I would do everything that I possibly could to get rid of that in the first place.
Do you think this is an advantage for anybody in the state? Like, or is it more rural areas? Like, how could renewable energy, especially, say, solar panels, especially you get rid of this fee power companies using, could that benefit a lot of folks?
I think it certainly could. A lot of people are moving to electric cars and stuff now. In the more rural areas, it would certainly help them, especially farmers and things of that nature. So, I mean, I find it very strange that we would actually penalize people for trying to use something that benefits them and benefits the company because they're getting electricity for free.
What's the rationale that Alabama Power gives, or the current members of the PSC, current commissioner?
From what I've heard, they sold it as ensuring that the people had access to electricity in case their systems went down.
Mm.
Now, most of the time, people with solar energy and stuff, they have a battery backup system. I've never heard of their system going down. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But then again, it's not like Alabama Power has this vault or something out there with a person's name on it that they store energy in. So how can they ensure that someone has access to energy?
Right. Well, and with the rates of return that Alabama Power gets, and with actual power rates going up recently, like you mentioned, I mean, what's the rationale they give there? It does sound like it's a rubber stamp. You almost wonder who's regulating whom or who's in charge of whom there. But like, is there some reasonable explanation that they say, hey, it had to go up this year, and hey, we need this guaranteed rate of return?
Not that I've been able to see. Unlike the TVA, which a lot of people in northern Alabama benefit from, Alabama Power is purely for profit.
Right.
So they're answering to their shareholders.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely a profit margins.
But
Stockholders.
But then the PSC's not on the bottom line of Alabama Power, right? But that's the regulatory group.
Oh, here we go. So from what I've been able to research and find out is that it appears as though, even though they are elected by the people, the three commissioners, their salary actually comes out of the fees and fines that these utility companies pay that goes straight to the Public Service Commission, which basically means these companies are paying their salary. So who are they more inclined to
piss off the
appease,
Right.
basically?
Right.
You're elected, yet these people are paying your salary. So what do you do? It sounds to me like an extreme conflict of interest. And I definitely think that if that's the case, then they need to be moved so that their salaries come out of the regular state treasury. And all of those fines and fees, that takes away the conflict of interest.
Right.
So.
Well, and I imagine it's not just salary. I imagine there's benefits. How much
Of
does
course.
somebody get once they're on the PSC? I don't know.
From what I've been able to research, it appears that the three commissioners are on track to take a basic salary of over $105,000 this year. Now, that doesn't, of course, include travel, things of that nature,
You like to travel, Joey.
those fringe benefits, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Who doesn't like to travel?
Right.
I like to travel.
Especially with a salary like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost as much as our most high elected official, the governor, makes.
Well, you're telling me things I didn't know. For instance, I did not know those salaries are paid directly out of the fees and other things that are levied by the utility company.
I'm not 100% sure about that, but that's what it appears to be. Yes.
Again, we're talking to Laura Chancey Lane. She's the Libertarian Party of Alabama's candidate to be PSC, it's place 2. And, well, so we mostly talked about the power company and renewables. Is there anything else you would like to do there on the commission? Maybe especially, it sounds like what we've danced around here in the conversation is just how it's structured. And on the commission, I imagine you would have a unique point of view compared to the average citizen.
I imagine so. But one of the other things that I would like to accomplish, there are people across our state that are basically impoverished. And there's a group over in Lamison, I believe it is, in Wilcox County. There's over 300, it's either people or households, I don't recall which, that do not have access to clean water. They don't have wells on their property. They don't have what I call city water coming in. So, and this has been in the news at least since 2016, probably longer. So what their county officials did is they went out and put in a community well, a community pump. So these people are driving over, filling up their buckets and stuff and taking things back. What I would, and that's just one example, what I would like to see is, since these fines and penalties that these companies pay to the Public Service Commission are actually dumped into the state treasury and into the general fund. Now, we're talking tens of millions of dollars here. What I would like to see are those funds taken and earmarked for special projects, like getting these people access to clean water.
Let me ask you something about the clean water people.
Okay.
When they built that house there, did they know there was not water there?
I believe what we're talking about is generational properties. So they have inherited them through the years down, I don't really know the answer to that question. So I'm sure that they did, but, they've lived this way for quite some time, but they don't want to live that way.
I understand. Now my issue is my house. I had to pay for the water to be brought to my house.
Right.
And I'm not a welfare kind of guy.
Right.
If you don't have access to clean water, and it's not because, the government's just denying you that, it's because you choose to live where there's not water available. That's on you.
Well, a lot of these people, they don't have the funds to have that kind of stuff run. They have that property.
There you go.
So one of the ways that we can help with that is maintaining lists of resources that they can reach out to for help with those things. There are lots of charitable groups around that can help them, companies that can help write grants, other industries like the ones that install wells that could work with them for payments
or
and things.
Is it feasible for the city or the county to run water lines out there? I mean, if it's...
It's definitely a return on investment sort of thing you would have to look at. Yeah, you would have to look at. But then again, do they really deserve to be left in that situation when they're asking for help? When you approach someone and you say, I really need some help with this, is it really something that you want to hear come from someone you elected, say, well, that's not my job, and then they turn around and walk away?
Right.
You try to help them with at least giving them a list of resources that they can reach out to.
Yeah, no, and it is a generational problem there. And I know the one example you gave is just one example. There are a lot of folks in that part of the state that I like to travel, but I don't often go there. That it's shocking actually to see the conditions folks are living in.
It's very shocking. Another example, my home county in Baldwin County. There's a lot of tourism and stuff there, and people don't think that, they've got these kind of problems. There are people down in Lillian, which is not too far from Gulf Shores and stuff. Again, generational properties. They're impoverished, but they do have wells on their property. But when you test the water. It comes back as sewage because, one, the soil, it's clay rich, so it doesn't really filter the water and stuff well. But also they're shallow wells. So over the years, this stuff is built up, and these people, they're basically bathing in their own filth, and which causes all sorts of health problems and things down the line. They're asking for help, and everybody's like, well, that's not my job, and turn away from them.
And it becomes a bigger problem over time.
Right, it does.
So how did you, again, folks, we're talking to Laura Chancey Lane. She is the Libertarian Party here in Alabama's candidate to be on the Public Service Commission, place 2. How did you become interested in these issues? You just laid out a lot there on some of these water issues, and as well as, thinking about renewables. Were you thinking about this before running and
Actually, I always have some kind of little iron in the fire or something going on. I support a lot of charities and things, so I'm always, looking at different things, and I try to stay on top of current events and issues happening in our area. But this particular thing really came to light when I started helping my good friend, Portia Shepard, set up her campaign over in her district. And she's an awesome lady. I wish I had half the fire that she does.
She's got passion like nobody's business.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I wish I had half of that energy.
Me too.
You know? So, but yeah, a lot of those issues started coming to light, and I was just appalled. I said, this is not right. Something has to be done. Somebody somewhere has to do something. Well, what's the saying? If not you, then who?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and Borgia brought some of these issues to our attention as well.
Right.
And I don't know exactly how it would be funded. I hear your point, Eddie. But I think we all sitting in this room and everybody out there listening, when you actually see some of how things are rigged down there in a particular way, it is not optimal, to put it in a nice way. And when you look at the PSC, not only often Alabama Power comes up,
right.
And just to underline the point, there are a lot of amazing. I keep saying this, but I've recently had experience. The linemen there are fantastic.
Yes, they are.
It's not generally the workers anybody has issues with, especially with Alabama Power, but they're such a large organization, they have a tendency to bully people. It's not the worker. It's not your everyday worker. You love them to death.
Right.
But like I say, if I suddenly went solar, well, Alabama Power is going to hit me with a bill, and there's nothing I can do about it.
That's right.
That to me, and I think we're the only state in the union where that is the law of the land, and I think it's one of the most ridiculous things. But again, you have Alabama Power. They're the 800-pound gorilla.
Right. And they pretty much, with the exception of the TVA, which again is in northern Alabama, they pretty much have a monopoly on this state. A lot of people I encounter will say things like, well, I don't get mine I go through such and such co-op. Well, guess where that co-op gets their power? They get it at a discounted rate from Alabama Power. So.
Right. Well, this is why you need the right folks there.
Definitely.
The Public Service Commission. Again, folks, we've been talking to Laura Chancey Lane, who is running for that seat place too. If folks are hearing you and they want to support you here in these last couple weeks, how do they do so?
You can check out my website. It is votelauralane.com. Always happy to have donations. And I'm going to throw in a short little plug here, if y'all don't mind.
Sure.
On the 29th of this month, my hometown, Bay Minette, is having a witches ride, which supports the local nonprofit no-kill animal shelter.
Oh, cool.
So all of the proceeds from that are going to be donated to the shelter. And one of the things that I started it last Thursday on a local podcast that was broadcasted, but all of the donations coming to my campaign through 5 p.m. on the 29th will be consolidated and given to the shelter.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, those not ladies, it's all of the people there, the volunteers and stuff, they do a great job. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much it takes to run an animal shelter. I did a lot of volunteer work with rescues and stuff over the years, and so I know.
Right.
So any little bit helps. Plus, I have one little baby from that place too, little Dixie, and she may make an appearance in the ride too.
Awesome. Well, it's like our friend Donkey Lori. She's really involved with the Elmore County shelter.
Yeah.
So, and I'm good friends with her. So I see, and I'm amazed how much with little to no funding they're able to do.
Right. Right.
That really amazes me.
Yeah.
And Lori, she's someone that will take the pets home, and she kind of babysits them for a while. And I don't know where you guys find the energy and the compassion to do that.
She's fostering.
Yeah, she's doing
that's
tons of fostering. And she even ended up fostering a bull and kept it. I mean, I just don't understand where you guys have that passion. I'm glad somebody does, because I just don't.
Well, these poor little, it's not like they're out in the wild. When you have a pet, they're just kind of like a child. They're dependent upon you for food and water and to make sure that they stay healthy. So like myself, I don't have children, so they kind of became my children. And I've put plenty of miles on my vehicle traveling to different shelters. I used to go regularly about a 9-hour drive one way to Ocala, Florida, with loads of puppies and stuff to different shelters because the ones here would be full.
That's what amazed me about you guys. Y'all do that all the time, like a regular thing. Like, okay, our shelter's full, no big deal. We're going to go here. I mean, y'all have that going. Whereas most people would go, our shelter's full, I don't know what to do.
Right. There's an entire network of volunteers out there, and that's all we do. We don't ask for people to donate to us or anything.
You guys just get it done.
Yeah, it's our gas money, our time, everything, and off we go.
So if folks want to donate to your campaign, which will help out this cause as well, what's that website again?
It's votelauralane.com.
VoteLauraLane.com. Yes. Before you go, you're going to be part of a candidate forum in Macon County?
Yes, there is one at Tuskegee University. I believe it's put on there by their political science and one of their youth groups there. There will also be some other libertarian candidates there, like David Boatwright. Believe I can't remember what he's running for. Frank Dillman, who's running for one of the county commission seats, will also be there. And I'm sure others that I'm just not aware of at the moment.
Well, and I've been telling folks, so whether you're a Democrat or Republican or you are a libertarian, but say you're not a libertarian, and you're tired of the party that you're supposed to be home to. Say you're a Democrat, you're supposed to vote Democrat, have for years. Right. Same for Republicans. And you're tired of them not having competition. You're tired of them just doing the same old thing no matter how people vote every other year. Why not consider voting for these libertarian candidates? Just as, say, a protest vote might be a wise way to go. I really appreciate, we saw each other, I think, in passing at that convention a while back, but it's good meeting you, good sitting and talking with you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, too. I know we've been, friends on that book for a while.
Yeah, the Book of Faces.
Yes, and the Tweedling thing. So.
Well, again, folks, Laura Chancey Lane, great meeting you, Laura. And
Thank you. Thank you again for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. More news and views from 9 till noon.